Hi, I'm Abby at Stitch in Heaven, and I am here to share with you a beautiful new project. This is a new kit that is exclusive to Stitch in Heaven. It is an exclusive pattern designed by yours truly, and I'm excited to share it with you. It's called Bluebonnets and Butterflies, and this pattern was designed specifically for the collection from Riley Blake that has just come out. I'm trying to see, who was this designed by? Shailene Louise designed this collection, and again, it comes from Riley Blake. This fabric collection, the pattern, and the kit is all available here in store. We have a limited number of kits is available in store and also online at stitchinheaven.com. So be sure to check that out. So the skill that I would like to teach you today that is part of this pattern is a flying geese block. Instead of using half square triangles, I went ahead and used a flying geese block for the points here on the stars. So we've got, and there's a lot of them in this quilt. We've got the big stars and then within the little stars here. So there's a lot of them, and so I'm trying to teach you some tips and tricks to get through those as quickly as possible. One way to do this is to use the Creative Grids Ultimate Flying Geese Ruler. And it looks like this. It's a square here, and I wanted to put a piece of paper down here. So this ruler is amazing because it gives you your cut sizes that you need to make 4 flying geese at a time. For our finished block, so you want to reference here, it says finished size. We are going to be doing letter F, a 3x6. So that will be this larger block, this larger flying geese here on the outsides of your stars. So let's get started. So for letter F, 3x6, we need to cut one large square, which is 7 3/4 of an inch. And then we're going to cut 4 smaller squares, which will be 4 1/4 inches. So I've already done that. So here's my large square. And here are 4 smaller squares. Now with this Creative Grids ruler, in the instructions, they give you a few different methods of how to use them and how to sew these pieces together. I'm going to be showing you what they call the heart method. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out by flipping over our small squares and using a ruler. I'm actually just going to use the edge of the flying geese ruler. You want to take some sort of marking pen or pencil. This is a sew line pencil, and I love this pencil because it comes with multiple colors in it. So depending on what shade of fabric you're using, it's really helpful. So I'm going to switch it over till I get a white. There we go. Because I'm marking on the back of a dark fabric. So I'm going to use my white pencil, and I'm going to mark a line from point to point on the diagonal on each square. All right, there's number 3. Whoops. And I do like this pencil. The lead in it it's smooth. It runs smooth on the fabric, so it doesn't feel like it's pulling or snagging. Okay, so there I've got a line drawn diagonally on each square. So I'm going to start out, I'm going to set 2 of those aside, and I'm going to start out by lining up 2 of the squares on opposite corners. So I've got right sides together. And make sure that those edges are lined up pretty neat. So the other nice thing about using this ruler is the dimensions that they give you for your cut sizes are actually a little bit oversized, and so you don't have to be so perfect. There's room to trim later. So I'm just going to put a quick pin in just to hold those in place on each one while I sew. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to get a pin point here. So we've got a line here. Eventually that's going to be a cut line. We're going to sew 1/4 of an inch on each side of that drawn line. All right, now I just take a regular straight ruler and we're going to cut right up the middle along our line that we drew from corner to corner. Okay, so I'm going to take this to the iron over here, but this is why we call it the heart method. So when you open up those triangles, you're going to see a heart shape. So there's that heart shape. Do the other one. Okay, so now we have 2 hearts. We're going to separate those out, and we're going to take those 2 squares that we set aside, and you're going to line those up on the other corner. So that drawn line should be at the corner and coming down and dividing your heart in half. Again, I'm just going to stick one quick pin just to hold that in place for me as I move that to the sewing machine. We're going to do this on each heart. And I'm ready to sew. Again, we are going to sew on 1/4 inch from each side of that drawn line. I don't know if you all have seen these cute scissors yet. These are a Stitchin Heaven exclusive item as well. They are sharp, so they're nice for just doing those little snips. So at this point, that's what our triangle should look like. We've got a stitch on one side. I'm going to go back and do the other. Okay, so this is kind of the scary part. I had to think a second. So we are going to slice that in half down our drawn line. So if you can see, I've got a drawn line. It's kind of faint, but we've got a stitch 1/4 inch from each side. And then again, I'm just going to use my straight edge ruler and slice it corner to corner. And then what happens is, when you fold that triangle open, there is your flying geese. And we've just made 4 essentially at the exact same time. So it's a real time saver. Oops. Okay, so let's give that a good press open. You want to press this nice and flat so that when we go back to use our flying geese ruler to do the trimming, everything is tidy. Okay, I don't know about you, but I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and that's one of the things that I love about quilting is just when I see a point come out perfectly, it is just so satisfying. Makes me happy. And if it's not perfect, I can rip it out and I can do it over. So this is an art that helps to satisfy that perfectionist in me. So that's another reason why I love this ruler is we don't necessarily have to be perfect on our piecing because our pieces are oversized, but we can trim it down so it will be perfect. Okay, so I want to show you on this ruler, turn it so it's the right direction. There are two sides to this ruler. So when you get done getting your pieces put together, you're going to first go to your trim number 1 side. And we're going to find, remember we did letter F, a 3x6. And so we're going to go over here and find the letter F, and I don't think you can see it right now because it's actually a white line. They do a good job of using different types of lines to indicate which size you're doing so that it's easy to follow. But you'll see it here when I pop it on here. Okay, so you see here my letter F, and I've got a white line, and I'm going to line that up right into the point of the flying geese. And you can see I've got a little extra on the outsides. This is a great reason to use your Martelli rotating cutting mat. And you're going to trim 2 sides. Pull that away. Okay, now you're going to flip, you're going to turn your block, and then you're going to flip your tool, and you're going to use trim number 2. And again, we're using letter F. That lined up the best I can. And then you'll also see on your trim 2 side, there's actually a square corner that you line up with the edges you cut off previously. Didn't quite get all the way through there. There we go. And there we have a perfect 3x6 flying geese. Thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial. Again, look for the pattern. It's called I'm sorry, Bluebonnets and Butterflies. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please be sure to click subscribe and give us a like. We'd appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.